Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anybody that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we will get into this. Mr. Black Hat Team, what's up, dude? Nismo Miner, good to see you. We got Nerd Beast, Chris Hanley, Magic Lucky, Joseph, what's up, man? Good to see you. Offshore Miner, good to see you. I love that name. Keen Bean, Crypto KJ, my man. Crypto for Seniors, what's up, dude? Andrew Masad, Automatic Beats, what's up, man? We have Royce, Vinny, Shark Farmer, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Yeah, dude, I've been outside for 3 days. Steven Cicero says, look at that tan. Oh, you guys are a pain in my butt. All right, let's get into this. Everybody else I may have missed, let's do it. Bitcoin 65,491 bucks. The hell's going on here? Everything's red. Ethereum 3420. All right, we have a fire sale today. What do you guys think is the best thing to buy as of right now? Dogecoin down to 12 cents. Look at this. ETC at 72 bucks. Caspa's at 14 cents. XRP at 49 cents. We have Solana at 136. Jeez, I feel like you guys can get some steals. ADA's at 37 cents. Damn, I might buy into that actually. Interesting. Wow, I haven't looked at the market in like days. No joke. Crazy. For any of you guys that might be wondering, new time around 9 o'clock. We're gonna start streaming in the mornings. I have to drop my kids off at camp. The whole school thing is gonna be coming up in the this fall anyways, right? Or end of spring, right? I mean end of summer. Rude Puts, what's up, dude? Thanks for being a member for 29 months, dude. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Time flies and you're having fun. It definitely does. All right, moving on. Crypto bubbles. Jeez, we're getting wrecked. We are getting wrecked here. Look at this, man. Renders down 8.7%. $7. Wow, $7. That's actually a good buy. Render's definitely a good buy right now, my opinion. Pepe down 9.6%. Bruh. I wasn't in that anyways. I sold out, but damn, everything is awful right now. Literally double digit down on almost everything. I mean, CASP was only 6.4. KCS, the KuCoin token, right? Yep, that's down 4.9. Jeez, this is crazy. Fetch AI down 10.8. Where is Near? Right here. Near down 11.4. I was looking at this actually. Near, I wonder if this is a double bottom for Near. Near might be a good project to get into right now. $4.65. Super cheap for what it is, to be honest. So I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass for not doing it, but it was, I think I got some at like $7 ish around here. And yeah, we've fallen off a cliff, so gotta be getting back into it. If you guys have any questions, just at me in the chat. We're gonna do the fear and greed index flashbang real quick over here. 74. How are we still at a 74? How is it still at 74? I've refreshed this like 10 times. I don't believe this. I don't believe it at all. 74 on the fear and greed index right now. Jump Change says to buy, and he's not. Better buy it. Steven Cicero. This is you guys know I don't really care about this unless it's over 75, but I felt like we'd be in like the 60s. That's just my opinion. It's kind of crazy that the greed is still this high. Interesting. Again, that's collective data from like, you know, all over the internet, pretty much the markets in general, like just everything, all the news and stuff. All right, let's see. Trending coins over here. Undead Games. What is this? 26.2% up on the day. 95 cents. Never heard of this. What is this? When did this come out? May. Came out in May 2024, this year. Man, it's had quite the run up actually. Don't get in on things when they're running up, please. That's how you lose money. MAGA is down 36.1%, and ZK Sync, I guess, is down 19.5. Interesting. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lado Staked Ether, XRP, Toncoin, and Dogecoin in 10th place. Look at that. But unfortunately, ADA is in 11th place now at a $13 billion market cap. I wonder why ADA is pulling back so hard. Interesting. I know everything is, but geez, that thing's taking a beating. It really is. Crypto Shape stayed at 55 on other index. Really? Let's see. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. Let's see. Oh god. Yeah, wow. You know what? This is always, I feel like CoinMarketCap's always wrong though with this fear and greed index. I don't know though. Interesting. You know, that makes more sense though. CoinMarketCap, it makes more sense at 55, to be honest. This is what I thought we would be. 60 to 50s, like in that range. But yeah, man, interesting. I wonder why it's so messed up over here. Yeah, it says it was updated June 18th. Interesting. I wonder what the difference is there and why it's so different. Anyways, Litecoin. I've been stacking Litecoin, mining Zealous, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I've been mining Zealous. I haven't changed anything from last week. Swapping right into LTC, because if you guys don't know, if you guys are gonna mine to an exchange and like convert a coin into anything, do it into Litecoin and then send it out. Like I'm doing it directly to Trade Ogre, swapping it out into Litecoin and then into my wallet. There is minimal fees for Litecoin to move. You pay $10 to move USDT off Trade Ogre, so don't do that. It's not worth the money. Not worth the money. Near Protocol, again, I think this one might have a good chance. Let's how far is it down though? It's gonna be like, yeah, 77% down. 77.1. All-time high was $20. So this let's see, when did that spike? Yeah, it was 2021 bull run. Interesting. I think this might be a good buy on Near. I think this might be a good buy, to be honest. It's got a $5 billion market cap as of right now. Interesting. I think I'm going to swap into this today. I think that's going to be my pick today. I'm going to go into Near and we'll see what happens there. All right. Anyways, moving on to the mining segment of things. I don't want to overlap Miss Randy Hipper too bad, but we're going to a little bit, I'm sure. All right. You guys know I like to timestamp these miners rather over here. On the mining segment of things, we got the KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making 69.43. Damn. Wow, this is bad. this is low. I mean, I know it's still $70 a day basically, but geez, that's crazy. This is after 10 cents kilowatt hour, by the way. This is what you yield when you take it home. The Bitmain Antminer KS5 20 terahash unit making $66. We got the KS5M 15 terahash unit making $46.83. I'm wondering when this new unit's gonna come out, the new Caspi unit. There's definitely got to be something in the works. We have the Gold Shell AL box in 4th place, 3060 gigahashes. Yeah, sorry, 3060. What the hell am I saying? 360 gigahashes at 180 watts over here. You're making 19 lithium a day. 3629. How's the lithium doing? Lithium must be holding up well. Man, I haven't looked at any of this stuff in a while. $1.56. Took a little bit of a hit in the last couple of days, kind of like everything else, but that is relatively not bad. It's like 30 cents. It's really not that big of a deal. Crazy. Interesting. Well, I'm glad to see that thing's still making money. Shout out to my man Fully Electric. I think he just got his. The KS5L 12 terahash unit making $35.83 a day. We get the BM KS Max 11 terahash unit making $30 a day. The sorry, that's the same thing as the Dragon Ball Miner KS6. They're both the same thing. The Windminer K9 10.3 terahash unit making $29.84 a day. Let's see. Mr. Crypto KJ, appreciate you for the $2 super chat. He said, you want to see a boner candle, look at NRCH. What the hell is NRCH? NRCH. What the hell is that? Oh god, that didn't work. NRCH. This one? Oh my god. 977%. What is this? It just came. Wait, hold on. Max. What am I saying? So this is around 2021, April. What the hell? That went from $1.20 to $12.98. What? No way. Get out of here. We died. What do you mean we died? Tell me we died. My stream didn't die. Liar. I feel like something's wrong with this. This can't be right. What is this? Market cap's only 28 million. No. Max supply. Oh, that's low. That's a low supply of coins. Only 9 million. I wonder if they burnt some. Must have been close to 10. Interesting. Anyways, moving on. Let's see. The Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making $20 a day. $21.65. That's it. Wow. That's stupid low. Oh, look at this. The Antminer L9. Perfect. Coming in hot. Look at that. DJ screaming. Miss DJ. Hope he's doing well. Hope he is doing well. Again, Bitmain Antminer L9 16 gigahash unit making $18.65 a day. Damn, at least it made the chart now. It's in 12th place. Crazy. The KS3M 6 terahash unit making $13.84. Jeez, this is going down hard. We got the, you guys know I have my L7 9050 down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them, paying 9.5 cents or 10 cents per kilowatt hour. I think it depends on how many units you have, but nonetheless, 9050, 3,260 watts. I am making $7 a day still, $7.28 actually, after paying a 10 cent per kilowatt hour. This machine has been killing it. So I don't know. I would love to get one of these L9s, but like, I just don't want to drop the money on an ASIC. I just don't. I don't want to spend that kind of money. But the L9 looks sick, dude. It really does. I'm hoping that Locotech comes through with that hash blade, man, because if they do, that's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. It's like almost, what is it, almost 2 gigahashes I think for 149 watts, and it goes in like your PC, and it's like how much wattage can that actually pull, you know? I don't know. That's just, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be absolutely insane. We have the Ice River KS2 2 terahash unit making $4.45 a day. Bruh, that is terrible. The X16Q over here mining ETC and ZIL only making $2.81 a day. Jeez. KS1 from Ice River over here, $2.23 a day. Jeez, so bad. Offshore miner, I ordered my L9. Hell yeah, dude. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Hell yeah. What'd you pay for it, if you don't mind me asking? The KS0 Ultra 400 gigahashes at 100 watts. This thing, $1.23 a day. This is stupid low wattage for what it's gonna get, but man, this thing must be a freaking toaster. Like, no joke, this thing has to be hot as hell. 400 gigahashes. The Pro is 200 at 100 watts. These already get stupid hot. This thing's only making 49 cents a day. Terrible. But solar trailer, obviously, I get no electricity, so it's close to about 75 cents right now. But man, I don't know. I'm assuming the Ultra is the same form factor. I think it is. I think it just has more chips. I hope they added a fan. I really do. I don't know if they did, but let me know if anybody got one. No buffering here. You have an Android or something? LOL. Nicholas Pitts. Yeah, no, if it's buffering, just restart the stream or just X out of it and come back in. I think that's probably will solve it, because I don't have any buffering here on this end. The Ice River original KS0 100 gigahashes at 65 watts, 21 cents a day. Bruh, that's terrible. All right, where's the S19K? How bad is it today? Oh god. S19K 120 terahash unit. Again, I got this down at Terra Hosting. Mining Bitcoin Cash. I am negative 31 cents a day. Paybacks never. Oh, it's terrible. All right, hold on, I gotta look. What's Bitcoin at? Oh, it's a penny less. All right, so I'd be losing an extra penny with Bitcoin if I was mining that. BCH, how's that doing though? Let's see. BCH. I've never heard of this coin, by the way, that Enrich coin. Interesting. 379 bucks. Damn. Remember that, dude, this hit like $700 right here. Yeah, it was up to $700 at the halving, or around the halving. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Yeah, up here. Right here. There it is. April 6th. We hit $705. This shit is over 50% down from there, but it's 90% down from its all-time high. I don't think we're ever going to see Bitcoin Cash get to there again. That's just my opinion. That's insanity for sure. All right, moving on to GPUs. Let's see what we got. Most profitable coin over here. Looking like Gram. Gram, Ironfish, Pyron. Ironfish and Gram. How's Pyron doing, actually? Pyron? I am still mining Pyron on my AMD cards, because they suck on Zealous. 2 cents, almost 3 cents, down 8.5%. Damn, everything is just literally bleeding. That is awful. All right, looks like Gram, Ironfish, Zealous on the 3080, 3080 Ti, and 3090 Zealous as well. I know a lot of you guys are into that salad stuff. I'm not sure if that's actually awesome or not. Let's see. This is Patrick Murphy that just put this in the chat. What is this? Bitmain Antminer S19K Pro over here on what to mine. Looks like Nice Ash. I'm still losing 60. Yeah, it's still losing money nonetheless. I don't know. This site's all right. Pain in the butt sometimes, but not bad. All right, let's see. Ironfish and Graham. Yeah, I mean, pretty much Zealous, Graham, or Ironfish. That's pretty much what you got, or both. All right, let's look at CPUs. What we got? We got Zephyr, Nice Hash, Verus Hash. What the hell? I feel like I've seen that, but I don't know what that is. AMD Epic 7713 Verus Hash over on Nice Hash. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Use anybody mining that. Let me know in the chat. That would be amazing. All right, let's see. Get over to mining pool stats. Dodge stream. See if we got any new coins today. What do we got? Scoof. The hell is Scoof? Zealous Ash. What is this? Hold on. 12 days ago? 12 days ago. Let's see what this is. Again, if you guys leave this site, do it at your own risk, please. I am protected. So let's see. Scoof Network. This guy. First meme fork of Zealous. Innovative cryptocurrency built from scratch using a proof of work consensus over BlockDAG and Harmonic. How do you even say that? Homomorphic? Homomorphic? Is that how you say that? Is that a word? What is that word? What does that mean? I have to Google this right now. Hold on. All right, we're gonna listen to how to say this. Hold on, let's see.
Homomorphic.
It is homomorphic. What the hell? Oh my god! It says relating to the nature of homomorphism. Oh, thanks for telling me. What the kind of definition is that? What does that even mean? Encryption to preserve your privacy. All right, this is a meme coin, so we're not going to care about that at all, but yeah, nonetheless interesting. All right, back to events. Let's see what we got over here. We have CAU going through its hard fork in 5 days. Gold Cash just went through its halving. Oh look, PugDAG went from a block reward reduction 10 hours ago, 500 to 440, if anybody cares. And then yeah, there's really nothing else that we care about probably until Verus coin. Over here, 198 days, 6 to 3. Damn, going through having insane. All right, let's move on to the news segment of things. I want to see what we got going on. I've missed a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Oh, Patrick Murphy, shut up. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's start with GameStop stuff. GameStop stock sinks after annual meeting. That is a tongue twister. All right, guys, hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's see what they got to say over here.
GameStop's annual shareholder meeting is taking place today following a technical issue last week that cut the meeting short. Yahoo Finance's Ines Ferre has been following along. She joins us now for more. We even, I believe, got a few words publicly from Ryan Cohen.
Yes, that's right, Julie. He spoke at the top of the meeting in some prepared remarks. And basically what Ryan Cohen said, he's the chairman and CEO of GameStop. He said, with respect to retail operations, we plan to continue reducing costs and focusing on profitability. He also cited a smaller network of stores. We've known that the company has been cutting costs. He also said that, and this is really sort of the money quote where he sort of nods at all of the meme trading that has been taking place over the last month or so. We are not here to make promises or hype things up. We're here to work. Now, the stock is down 10% now, but it was down as much as 15% during the meeting. The company didn't say much as to how they are going to use all the cash that they have accumulated over the last few share offerings. Remember that in this past month, they have offered millions of shares and they have raked in about more than $3 billion in proceeds from those sales. The general counsel during the meeting said that they were getting a lot of questions about the future of GameStop plans going forward, but he wouldn't be commenting beyond what Ryan Cohen commented, beyond those comments that he gave at the top of the meeting. This all started really when we know last month when we saw the meme rise rally after Keith Gill started appearing on social media, and the stock has been on a real whirlwind. As far as Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, he did post more than an hour ago a picture of John McEnroe. He's a famous tennis player from the 80s, known to be sort of controversial, so to speak, on the court. So make of it what you will with that message.
I don't know what to make of that. He pulled a
that roaring kitty guy just posts whatever he wants, and then people just interpret it however they want. All right, market concentration could be a headwind for the bull market, I assume that says. Let's get into this over here on CNBC television.
Guys, it's great to have you here. Strong start to the week here for all the major averages. Continues to be risk on. Eric, you're overweight equities. You're also overweight real assets like commodities. Why is that the place to be right now in this market?
I sped this up a little bit.
Morgan, we still think there's, despite a slowing tone of the broader economy, a decent environment for both consumer spending and business capex to continue. So we think that being involved in both business-to-business software as well as tech is where you want to be. We also think that while there's a little bit of a lofty expectation for earnings growth next year, at least in the U.S., it's still a decent environment. Again, we have a lot of noise coming in the back half of the year, whether it's the Fed or the election, but we still think those two trends, consumer spending and business capex, continue. That's why we're still bullish.
Okay, we want to bring Mike Santoli into the conversation as well. Mike, just as we didn't close on the highs here for the S&P, but we did jump 1% in trading. We finished up about, looks like 0.75%, 54.73, a new record high. We've had a string of them lately. Not too terribly much, though, in terms of potential catalysts here, other than perhaps retail sales and jobless claims later this week. I guess what are the next things to watch?
Yeah, I know. It's actually interesting in the sense that there wasn't necessarily much of an identifiable catalyst today either, except that it was just the pile-on momentum in a lot of those NASDAQ stocks that dragged the rest of the market along. I would say retail sales matter a fair bit, but I would also turn to David Kelly here and ask, essentially where you feel we are after the Fed meeting last week, after we got some of the more signs of disinflation, as to whether we are in fact tracking for the scenario that the markets have been essentially trying to price in for over a year, which is benign, softish landing.
It's a fucking good.
Mr. Geek of all trades, thanks for being a member for 21 months. Just stop by to smash the like button, just like all of you D-Gens need to do right now. All right, meow. Thank you very much, dude. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, that's where I think we still are. And I think what's really going on here is a lack of news to get scared about is allowing people just to keep on doubling up on their bets. And it's, I was watching the evening news a few nights ago, and they led with shark attacks. And whenever the evening news leads with shark attacks, there really is not that much for investors to worry about. And that's kind of where we are. So we've got this smooth economy, growth slowly coming down 2%, inflation slowly heading down below 3%. It's very comfortable. Margins look good. And so what's happening is investors, whatever liquidity they have, keep on adding to whatever bets they're making. So you end up with, this is a great environment in which to grow bubbles. And that's what I kind of worry about here, that the momentum, the narrowness of this market, it's still there. And there's a huge dispersion in valuations, both within the US market and then between the US and around the world. So I think there's danger within the market just because of this concentration, but I don't see it ending anytime soon until you have some shock to disturb this very bland soft landing scenario.
Interesting. All right, let's move on. Look, alien stuff. Aliens walk among us. What in the hell is that? All right, AI detection technology is needed to catch deep fakes in elections, says InScreen CEO. I'm not even going to try it. All right, let's see what they got to say over here.
We stand with Ukraine. We will ensure that Ukraine has what it needs.
You can kind of see it's a deep fake, though, his mouth.
To free Kiev from Russian occupation, which has lasted for 10 years.
That was not President Biden speaking about the Russia-Ukraine war. It was a deepfake that was circulating back in March. And it could be just one of many more, as we're less than 5 months away from the presidential election. States, for their part, have been trying to fight those fakes. 16.
The deep fakes, man, if they really wanted to, screw things up, they could. Really bad. Really bad.
Already have laws on the books, with more than a dozen others on track to do the same. But how effective are these laws in combating deepfakes, and how difficult is it to actually identify them? Let's bring back two people who have expertise in both areas. Hao Li is a computer scientist and CEO and co-founder of Pinscreen. And Heidi Heitkamp, of course, is former North Dakota senator and a CNBC contributor. She's here as well. And it's great to have you both. Hal, let me just start with you. How widespread are we seeing this issue right now, the appearance and arrival of deepfakes?
Yeah, definitely. There's, people are observing an increase of AI-generated media. There's a lot of new capabilities out there. not only deepfakes, but also new generative AI products that allows you to easily generate videos, images out of just text prompts.
Right, exactly. So I guess one of the other ways of asking this how would be in a moment where we're psychoanalyzing every video we might get out of President Biden.
Does that dude have a sick mohawk? Is that what that is? Like, is he like gel this thing up? I don't think so though, because it's like halfway back.
Or former President Trump to see what their, cognitive capabilities are like and so forth. How would we know if
RPM.
that video had been digitally altered?
Well, first of all, it's becoming increasingly difficult. All these new models, architectures, new methods for training these technologies are becoming increasingly performant. So, things are really hard to detect nowadays. I think we have to rely on advanced AI detection technologies and to use common sense, right? So it's really hard to just look at artifacts, etc. Those things are disappearing slowly.
Senator Heitkamp, let's show the first video of President Biden from the G7 summit recently that was making the rounds. And then we can show the actual video from President Biden in that same moment. Here's the first one where it appears to show him kind of wandering off, as you can see, generating tons of headlines and reaction to what exactly had happened in this moment. There's the French or Italian leader trying to bring him back. Then we can also show the video of what that looked like in real time.
Wait,
and here's the actual video where you see from a different angle kind of what was going on.
Is he not wandering off?
Context around the situation and so forth. I guess my question would be, where does this fall if we're so concerned about deepfakes and yet just simple editing or different views of the same kind of material?
That was not a deepfake. I should have pre-watched this. I definitely didn't.
Senator, can also result in confusion.
Absolutely. The technology's been
Squirrel. That's what happened.
There to use slow motion, to try and use other kinds of technologies other than AI. The thing about that video is it was first not altered, but the dimensions was changed by the RNC, was picked up by the New York Post, spread broadly around, I think, at 1.3 million hits. Guess what? They have reputational risk, and that shouldn't have happened. When you hear the explanation of what President Biden was doing, it makes perfect sense that he was watching something off in the distance. But
yeah, he obviously moved his hands in the distance, like interacting with something. But Geek of all traits says Biden just stops talking and turns into a Roomba.
Makes it look like he was staring at nothing. And so, I call on the DNC, the RNC, and all the legitimate political organizations to stop it. I mean, if you want to play a video, but make sure that it hasn't been altered. The problem with AI is that it is so intuitive and most people can use it. And so it can really fall in the hands of a lot of nefarious actors, people who don't have reputational risk that we can't call to the carpet, especially foreign actors who may have a stake in this outcome. And so this, I think it goes back to common sense. You are not going to have an easy way to figure out whether this is real or not. I always tell people, if somebody wants you to look at this and say, isn't this horrible? You should automatically think, maybe that didn't happen. Maybe I need to find out if that's actually what happened and what the voices actually said.
Not one person's going to do what she just said. Not one. You're going to see it and you got to believe it. All right. That's like why are you going to be like, oh, I just saw that. That can't be real. That's not real. Let me just believe it's not real. No. What?
It's difficult how
It's the stupidest
to
thing I've
find,
heard.
if you're someone on your own thinking, okay, well, how do I search for whether this did or didn't happen? Am I searching TikTok? I mean, what do I have to do to kind of, figure that out? I mean, just showing the capabilities that you have where there are videos where you can intake someone's face and then quickly create a digital replica where they can then appear to be saying almost anything. They can speak in different languages. I think you yourself had an example of that. So this technology is evolving rapidly.
Absolutely. I think one of the examples you can see over here.
What the hell? Dude, that's cool as shit.
Is that, this is our latest technology. You just take a single photo of any person and you can easily bring it back to life. And, this is just showcasing.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
How rapidly this technology is evolving. And even though, most of the use cases, as you can see here, are for virtual reality capabilities, people can easily misuse this for other purposes.
Yeah, I guess, Senator, it's one thing to create a law saying you can't, create a fake video and put it out as the real thing. And I'm sure we're going to see widespread adoption of that. We already have. But it's another thing to try to explain what you can and can't do otherwise in terms of editing or altering content.
Well,
yeah, I'm just going to kill this because this lady doesn't make any sense, this one right here. But, man, that was impressive. Whatever they were just showing here, that is cool as hell. But also, yes, extremely scary because that can make, God, can that cause some damn tailwinds in the election or in anything? That's wild. That's another thing that scares the shit out of me about being on YouTube because it's like, man, people can just make shit out of nothing now. That's crazy. Anyways, all right, moving on. Still believe in this bull market cycle for both equities and Bitcoin. Let's see what they got to say over here on CNBC television. Guys, hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Let's talk technicals with Katie Stockton, a Fairlead Strategies founder and managing partner, as well as a CNBC contributor.
I'm going to bump this up a little bit.
Hi.
Thanks for being here this morning. The counter trend signal that you had seen in the S&P that I guess that was were you on about a month ago, 3 weeks ago? We were in a little bit of a pullback. That's been sort of solved on the upside for the S&P.
It hasn't quite resolved yet.
Almost.
We're very close to that.
Yeah.
Where that happens is actually on a strong open above 54.40. So we've been using that as a bit of a stop loss on the upside. We've recommended hedging strategies for the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, and we still feel like we're comfortable with that, noting that these same signals, these counter trend signals from the DeMark indicators, are super widespread among the semiconductor stocks, and of course that has been almost the sole source of leadership here lately.
I was around for a lot when I was a stockbroker. In '87, there is something called the calm before storm. And here's the journal today. Exceptionally low volatility in the stock market prompted some professional investors to warn the current conditions may be the calm before the storm. And here's what it looks like.
That's probably right where we are with crypto as well.
And I just have this, I don't know, and I mentioned it before. Yeah, I have a sense of foreboding about things because it's been just it's sort of a move higher without even the slightest idea that we might.
I think we have to keep an eye on the VIX, right, to that end. And we have definitely been in a low volatility cycle for now more than a year, which is about kind of average, right, for these cycles. So we've been calling for a move, even if we don't see this near-term pullback that we're looking for, out of this lower volatility cycle into something that shows more corrective phases, just more volatility. And the reason for that is that support is intact, 11.8 on the VIX. And there's been incremental improvement in not improvement really, but momentum has shifted behind the VIX towards the upside. And even this morning, you look at it, it feels like it's about ready to move higher. And I think that's what you're feeling.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. VIX isn't going to move higher if the market spikes higher. It's going to move higher when it.
That's right. So especially if the VIX clears its 200-day moving average, which I believe is right around 14.5, that to me would be indicative of heightened risk.
So the Dow is not. The NASDAQ has been unbelievable, and so is the S&P.
Yeah.
After, Bitcoin's is going to have trouble going higher if there's only one cut. It's been wanting, obviously that's why people buy it, because they think the Fed's going to go hog wild again. But why is it diverging from the NASDAQ? Why is
this
Bitcoin
is interesting. I know it. I wrote it up this morning, in fact. Yeah, so we've been watching Bitcoin because the correlation to the NASDAQ 100 has been increasing back to levels that we haven't seen since 21. And to me, that's interesting. It does show that now investors are treating things as a risk asset broadly, right, including Bitcoin, including equities. So when we see Bitcoin pulling back in that framework and the NASDAQ 100 just forging higher, that concerns us to some degree. Just short term, we still believe in this bull market cycle for both Bitcoin and equities. But we do sense that divergence is something that will ultimately probably catch up with the NASDAQ 100 index as soon as people say, well, wait a second, NVIDIA's maybe a little bit overstretched here.
Okay. What else in terms of, commodities have been interesting. The yield curve. So now, were you expecting this drop in the 10-year?
We've been looking for sideways to lower from Treasury yields, and I think we're getting that. We have what looks like a pretty significant lower high in place. Support for the 10-year is around 4.13. We do think that will ultimately be broken, but we don't think it'll be broken in dramatic fashion. So more sideways to lower. That would theoretically be more conducive to a bull market cycle for equities. But we think that bull cycle, while it will persist, we'll see more corrective phases, and therein probably be a little bit harder to navigate.
Lower yields could come from a break in the market, though, couldn't it?
Could also, yeah. In commodities, I mean, I agree. They've been super interesting. Copper is down about 14% off of its recent high. It's a pretty major retracement, but the retracement follows what were massive breakouts for gold, for copper, and others. So we're seeing the retracement as counter trend now for commodities and ultimately looking for an entry point there. Not quite there yet. Crude oil does seem to have an oversold reaction. That's sort of
compelling. Is there any reason to look at the Dow itself, the Dow Industrials?
Well, it shows a different sort of cross-section of the market, right?
Yeah.
And anything that is more cyclical has underperformed.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the pullbacks. You see it in equal-weighted benchmarks. You see it in anything smaller mid-cap. And those pullbacks still look like they have room from a momentum perspective. We have most of our indicators suggesting that we need several more weeks of either consolidation or of a pullback to get out of this mode.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to why the Fed isn't confident about cutting rates. Let's see what they got to say over here on Yahoo Finance. Let's do it. I just put a poll in the chat too. Please, if you guys would answer that, that'd be amazing.
Federal Reserve searching for more confidence before starting the rate cutting cycle. Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari hinting at December as potentially the time for a cut this year. And Philadelphia Fed President Patrick Harker said one cut by the end of the year is now his base case. But as the central bank awaits more data to inform future policy decisions, the risks to waiting begin pulling into focus. Former Chicago Fed President and CEO Charles Evans is joining us now to discuss. Charlie, thank you so much for being here. So there's a lot of chatter about this now and about the balance of risks here. What is your outlook for how many cuts we could get this year?
Yeah, sure. It's a very interesting situation. The Fed has been looking for inflation to come down now for quite some time. I mean, in 2022, inflation hit 9% on the CPI, 7% on the PCE, and it's much too high. That's what every Fed participant says. And so they're looking to get it down to 2% sustainably. And they've made great progress recently, and labor markets have continued to be quite strong. And so with core PCE at about 2 3/4 right now, they're still a ways from that 2%. So as you just mentioned, 2%, two participants just today sort of indicated one rate cut this year is what their baseline is. They're looking to have more confidence that inflation is going to start coming down from 2 3/4 to 2%. And that's the hard part. And so they're going to be looking for more months of improving inflation before they even really talk about, I don't know, should they cut rates in December or what?
And what did you think there, Charles? Just in terms of your own time, I'm interested because you saw Neil Kashkari over the weekend on another network, Charles, and he was suggesting, it's reasonable to think maybe the Fed now, waits until December. Does that sound like, the timeline that makes sense to you, Charles?
Well, I was not surprised that the median SEP for 2024 was only one rate cut this year. The FOMC has been talking uniformly about how they need more confidence. Confidence is what they need. They are not very detailed. They are not detailed at all in what it takes in order for them to become more confident. And so it's this currently, somewhat opaque process as to how many good inflation reports are they going to need to see before they say, okay, I think we're finally going to get down to 2%. They have the benefit of a strong economy right now. The unemployment rate is 4%. Historically, that's quite low. And the funds rate's at 5.3%, and they must be asking themselves, why should I cut rates early until I absolutely know that I'm going to get down to 2%? The economy is not really struggling. It's not struggling because of this, although individuals, of course, are struggling with higher debt interest costs. Well, so I think, I don't know how many good inflation reports they're going to need to see, and I don't know for sure if the most recent good inflation report is going to continue. I'm hopeful that that's the case. And if it is, maybe they start thinking earlier than December, but right now, December looks like the modal bet.
And it definitely seems as though Federal Reserve members right now are by and large more concerned about a reacceleration of inflation than they are about a slowing of the economy. But we last week had the chance to talk with Allianz Chief Economic Advisor Mohamed El-Erian, and he is not so convinced that that's sort of how the balance of risks are looking. Listen to what he had to say.
So I think Chair Powell is correct in pointing out that there are two tails to the soft landing. The soft landing is what he's targeting, but there are risks on both sides. I think what he misses is the balance of that risk, that the balance, unfortunately, is in favor of them being too late and the economy slowing more than it should.
So I'm curious, Charlie, if you think that the Fed is appropriately cognizant of that risk that Mohamed outlines.
Oh, I'm confident that they are cognizant of that risk. I mean, Jay Powell has gotten that question at press conferences, and he has said we are mindful of our dual mandate responsibilities and whether or not the labor market is going to soften, whether or not demand is going to soften. At the moment, there's not enough evidence that that is actually happening. Now, that does seem unusual because the funds rate has been at 5.3% for quite some period of time. And, interest costs are higher. And so that must be getting in the way of some investment opportunities that businesses would like to undertake. But they really are committed to getting inflation down to 2%. They are undoubtedly embarrassed by the fact that inflation went up to 9% on the CPI, 7% on the PCE, and it's their job to get inflation down to 2%. They don't want to get stuck at 2.75%. I would say that the risks are not that. The most likely risks are not that inflation is going to reaccelerate. The most likely upside risk is that it's going to stall out, that it's going to require a softening economy in order to get inflation down. I think they're mindful of that. They're looking for softening, and if they get it, then they're going to sort of try to split the difference probably. But they're really committed to getting inflation to 2%. That's a very stiff performance bar, and I think that's perhaps what made Mohamed El-Erian a little bit nervous, that because they're focusing on that, they might not pay attention to the softening. I'm pretty confident that the FOMC is going to be mindful of all of those things.
Well, all right, Max said F the soft landing in the chat, and Patrick Murphy says soft landing, political nonsense words. Yeah, what does it matter if I have a soft landing? Does it matter? Can anybody explain that to me? I don't understand this shit, to be honest, but that's crazy. I don't know. It's just weird. Just do it already.
Charles, another question I got for you, switching gears a bit. Retail sales tomorrow. Charles, interested to get your general take on the American consumer. How healthy, how resilient do they look to you?
The consumer's been surprisingly strong. They've been resilient throughout, this episode. I think that the high inflation.
Real quick, a soft landing is a painless ending to a moderate economic slowdown. The term implies that the economy has returned to growth without a period of severe recession. The Federal Reserve and other central banks aim for a soft landing when they raise interest rates to curb inflation. Interesting. What happens if they don't?
Has taken a toll on households. That's absolutely the case. That's what
rip it off.
Every FOMC
exactly
member
rip the Band-Aid off. Scott
says
Sheffield.
For quite some time. I would say that,
my opinion.
At the lowest income groups, they have seen stronger wage growth in part to make up for the high inflation. It's still the case that food prices are high, gas prices are high, unaffordable housing continues to be highly unaffordable. But the skew in income inequality, I think, has sort of probably left us with stronger consumer, a resilient consumer because of that. And it undoubtedly, retail sales will soften at some point because of the higher interest rates. That's part of the Fed playbook over some period of time. But at the moment, looking at the economy, it still looks resilient. It still looks strong enough. It looks like a soft landing in terms of the economy being at trend growth, and no evidence yet of the unemployment rate moving materially above 4%.
Charlie,
interesting. All right, shout out to Yahoo Finance for that. One last thing, investors should not overlook juicy opportunities in Europe, says Invesco's Anya Lodea. I think that's how you say her name. I'm not sure. But anyway, still like button, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. Let's do it.
The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both closing at records. The 30th, in fact, for the S&P this year. For more on the markets and where she's finding opportunities, at least sector opportunities, let's bring in Ananya Lodaya, portfolio manager for international growth equities at Invesco. One of the things, and good to see you on set this morning. One of the things you point out is that you think you got to be selective about where to go in terms of individual names, even though all we've seen are highs across the board. So do you think it's going to narrow in terms of the winners? Since you also point out money's not going to be free anymore. It's going to be a new paradigm, so you need to be more selective. But we've had new highs just across the board, 30 in the S&P.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. The new highs at the index level are driven by, sort of a small set of culprits, right? And those are great companies, but we think as the regulatory backdrop eases, as central banks look to cut rates as soon as they get positive data, there's going to be a broadening of the rally. And to your point, you can't just indiscriminately pick everything. The rising tide floating all boats of free money is probably behind us now that capital costs something. But we think there's some wonderful growth themes that are going to power value creation for the next decade. We call it mantra, just mass affluence, new technology, parts of the economy are restructuring and, unfortunately aging. That also throws up a lot of activity.
Do you think there's going to be a pullback in the overall indexes, though, because some of the names that have been so hot pull back and they're such a big part of the index, or you'll just be able to outpace the gains of the rest of the market if you're looking at some selective areas?
It's never a straight line from point A to point B, is it? But some of the things that have been driving the index are based on the fundamentals. And I know there's probably parts of, as you've discussed in your show recently, there are definitely parts of the tech sector specifically that are overheated. But I always think of Amara's law, which says that all innovation is overhyped in the near term, but wildly underestimated in the long term. So I would not bet against tech or against the winners at this point.
Michael Stewart, good point. He said, how could anyone afford to buy anything these days? Just our mortgage is 55% of our household income now. Drop the rates, you are bleeding the middle class. He's 100% right.
This was struck by central banks are looking for a reason to cut rates. Why? Why do we try so hard, central banks, to get away from zero, to get back to more normal interest rates where money costs something, and you cut down on investments that shouldn't have been made, which causes bubbles and financial crises. So why are they so determined to cut as quickly as they can?
Well, they want to make sure, I think, that they are not the ghost in the machine that's distorting economic activity. And so as soon as they hit...
Now they decide they don't want to do that? How long have they been doing that, distorting economic, for the last 5 years, 10 years?
Well,
15 years.
I was going to say 14.
But the ostensible mandate for the Fed has always been to create a backdrop, specifically benign inflation of 2% or, pick a number. But the explicit mandate was to keep a benign backdrop so economic activity can continue. And so they don't want to be too heavy-handed. At some point, the conversation is going to shift to, are they behind the curve if the labor market softens? Every once in a while, when you get soft data points, you do see that chatter pick up. So I think they're mindful of not distorting prices.
Right. They'd much rather keep the punch bowl going. I think even if they shouldn't, they sort of they always err on the side of printing.
Deficit.
Yeah, printing too much. They do have that. You like Europe better than the U.S., or you just point out that Europe's really looks positive as well?
We think Europe is under-owned, so that is in its favor versus the U.S. The U.S. is a great market, but it's pretty widely owned. And Europe has a bunch of sectors that you don't really get exposure to in the U.S., right? Luxury, the semiconductor supply chain outside of chip design, factory automation. You have some world-class companies in Europe that ought to be part of anyone's portfolio that are in Europe.
This sounds like Graham and Dodd almost. You like high-quality growth businesses, secure positions in the value chain. I want you to explain exactly what you mean there. But also pricing power, self-funded, which means they don't have a lot of debt, I guess, and then clean balance sheets and free cash flow.
Yeah, in short, companies where the big can keep getting bigger because they're doing something very important. They can get pricing power for it, and they, in some ways, create their own weather because they're such a big part of the ecosystem that they control.
So without talking about specific names, you touched on this briefly, I think, but when you say that wealth is spreading around the globe, you're talking about wealth almost into the middle class in certain areas, aren't you? You're not talking about billionaires in terms of affluence. You're just talking about people that finally enter the middle class and are able to be consumers.
Yeah, I think that is the bigger phenomenon for individual companies, just the sheer number of people in Asia and across the developing world that are coming into consumerism and the behaviors and the economic activities that they will therefore power.
And you also, I think you said something about people getting older, and I think you said unfortunately, but the alternatives to getting older are really bad, right?
That's true.
Because you're dead. Right, so it's fortunately people.
Fortunately, we are all getting older.
Okay, this one makes it.
Yeah, and that's creating...
Not that I know these, not that I'm experienced these things, but and so there are what healthcare plays then. Is what you're saying.
Healthcare is essentially moving from infectious diseases, which is what killed you 100 years ago, to now moving to managing chronic conditions, which fortunately, as we all grow older, I suppose, and don't die off immediately, are essentially the next can of worms, right? How do we manage someone who has a chronic condition but has a life expectancy that's far exceeding anything we've ever seen before?
Let's hope. We have Gottlieb coming on later to talk about bird flu. Now they're saying it could kill half the world's population. That would solve solve the problem that you talked about.
Wait, what? What?
Too many people aging, but yeah, he's here. I saw him in studio.
Did they just laugh that off?
And that was the.
They just laugh that off. Did they just hold on? Hold on.
They're talking about bird flu. Now they're saying it could kill half the world's population.
Bruh. What? Bird flu is going to kill half the world's population?
That would solve that would solve.
We all gonna start wearing masks again? Is that what's gonna happen? Listen, if a fart can get through underwear and jeans, these diseases are getting through that mask. I'm just saying.
The problem that we talked about with too many
spitting
people
the obvious.
Aging, but yeah, he's here. I saw him in studio.
I haven't seen him in a while.
And that was the prediction 20 years ago. It could kill half of the world. And never say never after 2020. I don't think so. You would prefer Europe, or you would just spread some of your assets there? You like the U.S., but also just have some diversification over in Europe?
Don't get me wrong, the US is a great market.
Okay.
I would never bet against the US market. Europe, though, is overlooked. Valuations are very supportive. And so there's probably going to be juicy opportunities for alpha generation that people should not overlook.
That's a good point. Farsighter said, oh, nice. More lockdowns just in time for the election. More universal voting, I see. Jeez, you know what? That's a good freaking point. I didn't even think of that. All right, moving on to crypto world. CNBC television over here. We have Trump and Biden shift strategies to compete for crypto voters. Let's see what they got to say over here, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin continues its losses from last week. The SEC's crypto asset enforcement chief leaves the agency.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Jacob
forgot
Martin
about that.
of Two Punk Capital weighs in on crypto's growing influence in Washington, D.C.
I forgot about that guy leaving the SEC. That's right. Max talked about it last night.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. Bitcoin kicking off the week with a 2% slide by noon Eastern. The cryptocurrency traded at the $65,000 level. Ether also falling more than 2% this morning to $34.95, while Solana dropped 4.8% to $141.
Down a little worse today.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories for today. Gemini is distributing the last of its repayments to users of its Earn Lending product. The crypto lender said on Friday that the remaining 3% of digital assets owed to customers would be available in their Gemini accounts within 7 days. Gemini said it would be the final distribution of assets, and that Earn users will have received 100% of the assets owed to them as of November 16th, the last day withdrawals were suspended. At the same time, Gemini said it reached an agreement with the New York State Attorney General to settle a lawsuit brought back in October. The AG's office announced on Friday that it had recovered $50 million from Gemini to repay investors it says were defrauded by the Earn program. Perfect. Next, a BlackRock exec says financial advisors are wary of Bitcoin ETFs, but might be slowly warming up to them as well. While speaking at the Coinbase State of Crypto Summit last week, Samara Cohen, the asset manager's chief investment officer of ETF and index investments, said that right now, about 80% of Bitcoin ETF purchases are likely coming from self-directed investors. Now, those are people who have, for instance, made the purchase through their online brokerage account. Cohen said this asset class has faced as high as 90% price volatility, and that it is an investment advisor's job to do risk analysis and due diligence, which is what they're doing right now. You can read her full comments and more from the Coinbase conference over at cnbc.com/cryptoworld. Last, the head of the SEC's Crypto Asset and Cyber Enforcement Unit has left the agency. According to a post on LinkedIn, David Hirsch announced that Friday was his last day after serving at the agency for 9 years. Hirsch played a role in several pivotal crypto enforcement actions by the SEC, including those against Kraken, Coinbase, and Terraform Labs. He said in his LinkedIn post that he got to work on, quote, more complex, challenging investigations than he would have ever imagined, and expressed pride in the historic work done by the crypto asset and the cyber unit team.
Eat shit, Gary.
All right, let's...
He's trying to like praise he did something good. All them L's he's been taking. Yeah, no wonder you left. You don't want any more. Can't take any more pain.
Keep talking about Washington for our main story today. Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke with Jacob Martin, co-founder of Two Punk Capital, about crypto's growing influence in the 2024 election and on Capitol Hill.
Andrew, peace out, buddy.
What do you make of the recent focus on crypto coming from both the Trump and to some extent the Biden campaigns ahead of the upcoming election here in the U.S.?
What in the hell is that? Is that an NFT or something?
Yeah, I think one is obviously reactionary to the other. Like you mentioned, I think the Biden administration is a little easier to reference as far as like if the Trump campaign thinks it's as important as they seem to, with kind of constantly talking about crypto right now, calling himself the crypto president, whatever that might mean, at David Sachs's dinner last week. And then, speaking of mining in the US and whatnot, like the administration, the campaign is saying they will go quite hard. And then the current administration seems to be saying, well, okay, maybe we'll start accepting donations in crypto. Let's talk to Coinbase. Let's start to open the conversations a little bit, but we're not hearing anything specific from the president right now on what he likes or even dislikes, right? It's more
Crypto Shaped asked if this has a penis for a nose. And if I had to guess, that's like one of your buddies took your marker and drew on it. And then you're like, shit, I need to make something out of this. So I don't look like an idiot. Because you ain't wrong. It looks exactly like it.
People under him.
Something
Like, what is that?
and I'm sure you and a lot of people are hearing again and again is this idea that crypto has become a key issue for the upcoming election. I know as a reporter covering the markets and investing side of crypto that it certainly has become something of a catalyst for the price of Bitcoin. But in the other direction, how much weight do you give that? Give me a reality check on this. Are we all just living in our own little bubble here, or is it growing that much as a topic of interest for the election?
Yeah, I think when you look at how important it's becoming in foreign countries, that helps kind of point towards what should happen here and what I think is trailing. So when you see El Salvador's president purchasing Bitcoin and talking about what they're going to change at a country level, and then A16Z opening offices in London and Chris Dixon posting pictures with the prime minister over there and saying, look, if London is going to be open to us, we'll come work over there. Like, we'll open an office. So I think in the US, when you've got 60 to 80 million people, depending on which data you're looking at, that have crypto in a wallet, and that, through the ETF inflows, I've seen, anywhere between 70 and 80% of those purchases are self-directed retail as well. Like, people want to have crypto themselves and they want access to it. And I don't know if we've ever had a topic where 60 to 80 million people cared about it and the incumbent president didn't care about it, right? If it was manufacturing, if it was labor, if it was schools, if it was hospitals, 60 to 80 million people is a large enough chunk of the country that it should be a major campaign topic.
Game with Smokey Dan said that was painted by the guy who sold Hawk them GPUs.
Would a Trump versus Biden presidency mean for the crypto industry?
He was blind.
More importantly, what does their support
Legally blind. He wasn't really blind though, Hawk says.
At this moment mean for the industry, taking into account that it's likely that neither of them might be able to fulfill on every single promise that is made, other priorities come up. So can you talk a little bit about the support that we're hearing now versus, what that might look like in reality down the road on either side?
Yeah, I think bull markets cause statements of excitement that can't be fully expected to be acted upon, right? And I think there's a lot of things being said by one side right now with not much being said by the other side. So if you're going to just take the law of percentages a little bit, in an ideal world, if you had a Trump presidency and he's saying this many things, and you have a Biden presidency who's saying this many things that he'll do for crypto, even if the Trump campaign only converts on 10 to 20% of what they're saying right now. And keep in mind, I think the most important thing that typically gets missed by the average consumer is checks and balances. Our country's built with checks and balances for a reason. So even a president can put forward 100 things they really like. And if only 10 of them go through, the 10% conversion rate is not exactly they only fulfilled 10% of what they said. It's like, that's what got through a bipartisan Senate and House. And, both sides had to have agreed to a certain amount of these things. So I think in the last, week, it's important to note that, President Trump has mentioned everything from let's get rid of income tax and go full to tariffs, all the way to let's keep Bitcoin mining fully in the US. Like, not all of these things can or will happen, obviously. But I think the way it's being seen and the way I'm seeing it received is more positive.
Real quick, what do you guys think about that? Get rid of income tax and put it on tariffs? That could be bad, I think. That could be really bad. Right? Like, that's like a double-edged sword, I think.
Positive towards crypto means one side is more likely to actually do something useful as far as stablecoin bills go, or allowing for ETFs to pursue further angles towards consumers having crypto and not being scared of what might happen next.
Crypto for Seniors says, have you thought about getting your earbuds tied to your USB live stream? Yeah, so I have. It doesn't work well. Not with my Go XLR setup that I have for streaming and stuff. It doesn't like to, the Bluetooth works, but it's foggy, basically. It's like really dull, I guess, in my ears, the best way to explain it. And it also has a lagging effect by it could be a couple milliseconds, right? But it's like I can tell it lags and it drives me nuts. So I don't do it. I just use a hardwire.
Crypto is vast. There are different players in it, different use cases, different sectors. It's not just all about Bitcoin anymore. What would you say to either of the candidates should be the biggest priority for the crypto industry in terms of...
So if it went to tariffs, it wouldn't even just be GPUs. It would be everything we buy. Everything. And then you'd be paying way more money on everything, like grocery store stuff, just clothes. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're buying, if it's not made in the US, you're screwed.
Of, allowing capital and talent to kind of flow back over here in the US when this country has struggled on the regulatory front with crypto for so long and seen at least a beginning of an exodus or outflow of that talent and capital to other countries.
Yeah, I went to Washington, D.C. last summer for the first time as a donor, where I gave money to both red and blue candidates that seemed open to crypto with a small contingent of 12 people. And in these sit downs, the point was just to get across, look, Coinbase's reach overseas is growing mainly because it's not comfortable here in the U.S. They keep getting sued, right? The SEC has gone after Coinbase repeatedly. Multiple of our top companies in this country have been directly sued by the government after asking for years what the rules should be, or say, hey, here's what we think the rules are. Can you give us more clarity? So what I would tell current President Biden and potential future President Biden, as well as former President Trump, potential future President Trump, is if you don't want to see innovation go offshore, most of the top people working at these companies, most of the top people you would want working at these companies are coming out of the Ivy League schools or the UCs, which skew quite Democrat anyways. Well, at some point, if they feel like voting blue is going to make them have to leave the country, that's a problem. So if you're going to make a country seem or be directly hostile to an entire innovation stack, that is enough to send people offshore. And the data shows, I think as recently as last year, 15 of the top 20 crypto companies were foreign based. Legal entities not in the US, CEOs not in the US. Even if they were born here, they know operating here is not in their best interest right now. And that's a problem.
That's a good point, Max. He said tariffs on everything coming out of China will only drive manufacturing to other Asian countries or Mexico. Farsider said they would need to baby step the tax tariff thing to allow a proper transition and spin up time for American companies to produce products. Yeah, it would be a freaking mess. And you guys know, look at this, right? Real quick, it was just funny. I got an inside. I have alerts on for YouTube for Inside Edition, apparently. There's nothing to talk about when you could see Inside Edition, lost donkey seen with herd of elk. There is nothing to talk about in this world if I am getting notifications of a lost donkey. It's like the stupidest thing I've ever seen. All right, moving on to videos. I want to see what Altcoin Daily has to say. Bitcoin enters perfect setup as a biggest... what the hell just happened?
Bitcoin is entering.
All right, well, I guess that's going to happen. I wanted to click more. As biggest crypto news happening now. Let's see what he's got to say over here, guys. That like button, appreciate you for hanging out. We're going to speed through this. I'm going to bump it up actually a little bit, and then we're going to recap things. Let's do it.
The perfect setup. You got to see this. As of this morning, just announced another Bitcoin ETF to start trading this week. Australia approved a Bitcoin ETF by VanEck. It starts trading on Thursday. So adding to the list, that makes over 36 ETFs in total.
Interesting. Something starts trading. All right, that's cool. That's neat. Another ETF starting trading on Thursday, so that might be a little bit back into the market, a little bit more into it.
Total assets under management of the US ETFs now up to over $58.2 billion in Bitcoin. And then the total global ETFs over $69 billion. And now even just BlackRock and Fidelity now own a combined 477,000 Bitcoin.
Holy shit.
Showing when Bitcoin dips, the institutions are aggressively accumulating. And while price is still ranging in this accumulation zone, and although we're recovering today, last week, price virtually just went down, and subscribers of Altcoin Daily understand why. Bitcoin ETFs cool last week as crypto funds post biggest losses since March. Now, specifically, the Bitcoin ETFs shed $621 million worth of assets last week. And why that's a big deal is because that follows 2 weeks ago in which the funds gained nearly $2 billion. So 3 steps forward, 1 step back. And that 1 step back was because the Federal Reserve now anticipates only 1 rate cut in 2024, not 3, as was forecast at the start of the year.
Like Bitcoin's not is going to have trouble going higher if there's only 1 cut.
Does Bitcoin need multiple interest rate cuts to really take off?
It's been wanting, obviously that's why people buy it, because they think the Fed's going to go hog wild again. But why is it diverging from the NASDAQ?
Well, number one.
Is that obviously why the people buy it? I don't think so. Was it Michael Saylor that said it? I think it was. He said, think of Bitcoin as buying digital property and not buying like a coin or investing money into just cryptocurrency. Think of it as a digital property because it's only going to be ever 21 million created, right? And if you can own one, it's like, just think about it. Think about it as like buying a house. Like you have 1 Bitcoin, right? You have 1 house. It's kind of similar. It's neat to think about it like that because realistically, it is so hard to just grasp 1 entire Bitcoin for the average person, right? And the scarcity alone is going to drive this thing through the roof at some point. I mean, look at this gold spot ETF. He's pointing it out right here. This is where gold was before the ETFs launched. Look at the demand for these ETFs after like 10 years. Just think about where Bitcoin's going to be.
One, and this is what the mainstream media won't share with you. It took gold ETFs 4 years to cross $15 billion in net inflows. Bitcoin did it in just 5 months, meaning there is more demand. And 2, breaking news. The largest European telecom, Deutsche Telekom, will start mining Bitcoin. This has just been announced.
What?
And on top of that, the Chinese telecom giant Coolpad to invest $13.5 million in Bitcoin mining rigs to be deployed in North America. So
I like how they call those Bitcoin mining rigs.
Global fundamental adoption for Bitcoin is pretty clear.
Maybe they mean like the whole like container or something.
A perfect setup may be upon us. But breaking news, have you heard what just happened with the SEC? The SEC's Chief of Crypto Asset Enforcement Division, David Hirsch, has left his role. So this was the man at the SEC in charge of enforcement during the FTX collapse. He took down FTX, or he was in charge of that. Celsius happened under his watch, and a bunch of celebrity meme coins. And he's now done. In fact, here was his direct statement on LinkedIn this morning. This past Friday was my last day with the SEC after almost 9 years. During that time, I had the opportunity to work on more complex, challenging investigations and issues than I ever imagined when I joined the agency as a staff attorney way back in the day. I'm particularly proud of the historic work done by the crypto asset and cyber unit team I had the privilege to lead. Of course,
you cannot be that proud.
It wasn't just him. He goes on to say,
proud.
As I often say, securities enforcement is a team sport, and that was certainly true throughout my tenure. Every success I was a part of was the direct result of collaboration and combined efforts towards a common goal. I am very excited over
Wait, so did he make his tenure? So he made his tenure here? I mean, that's why he left. Hell yeah. Why wouldn't you leave? You make that, and you're taking all... You see the SEC is just going to get beat to hell with all the L's that they've been taking. Of course you'd leave. You already made it. Why the hell are you going to stay? That's stupid. You're just going to run your name through the mud. That's dumb. That makes sense, though. I mean, I guess good for him, but eat shit.
Eat shit, Gary.
Next set of challenges. It'll be very telling on who the SEC appoints to this position next. I will keep you updated. And in totally unrelated news, Waka Flocka Flame token launch faces insider trading allegations. So this is a hip-hop artist from back in the day. He launched a token called Flocka, and around 40% of the coin's total supply was scooped up before Waka Flocka Flame announced the launch.
Oh, weird.
I will keep you updated on this.
Weird, a celebrity not caring about you. That is so weird.
Again, breaking news as of today. Tether, the world's largest stablecoin, launches a new stablecoin backed by gold.
Introducing Alloy by Tether.
What?
The first tethered asset.
So this is a dollar-pegged stablecoin backed by gold. On Monday, Alloy debuted.
What? Is that a good idea?
On the Ethereum network, allowing users to create tokens collateralized by Tether's tokenized gold, XAUT, so backed by gold and over-collateralized.
But what is a tethered asset? It's a new type of digital asset that aims to follow a price of another asset closely using different strategies, including over-collateralization and secondary market liquidity pools. AUSDT is the first alloy by Tether product that aims to track the value of the US dollar using Tether gold as collateral. Let's redefine the concept of stability together.
To me, these
Hold on. Tether gold. Right here. Tether gold. $2,321. That's the market cap. Max supply. It's infinity. What? Wait. I am so confused. Wait, what? This came out in 2020? Am I reading this? That's not wrong. I'm not wrong. Why? Really? This came out in 2020? Weird.
Financial products are just new ways of the old system to get yield off of this, and
I've never heard of that.
Different financial products that are a little less stable, like this. We will see. We also have a major milestone for LimeWire altcoin, which is an AI crypto studio.
It's a shill, 100%. Whatever. I'm just gonna let him do it.
Artists. 30,000 followers on CoinMarketCap reached. So pretty cool to see the growth.
No one
and even
cares.
bigger announcement. We're happy to announce that LimeWire will be part of On-Chain Summer on the Base blockchain. Stay tuned for more details over the coming weeks. So LimeWire on ETH L2, backed by Coinbase Base. And very quickly for AIT Protocol, AIT roadmap unveiled, paving the future of AI. The team is excited to reveal our updated roadmap. A lot has been put into what's coming next for AIT. And what's happening today, now, obviously the subnet on BitTensor is live. The Einstein subnet 35 is running smoothly. We are expecting to pull more weights over the coming weeks. So slowly, yet surely, and looking at the roadmap on what comes next, specifically for next month. BitTensor subnet revenue sharing. To me, this has already started. I'm staking my AIT.
Is anybody into this? BitTensor? Let me know.
And I'm getting some Tau BitTensor token as a reward for doing it, since they have a subnet.
Oh, was I on the wrong one? Oh, I was on the wrong one. My bad. All right, so this is it. Alloy Tether. Weird, though. That ticker, this is the ticker I typed in. XAUT. That's what he said it was. Huh. Interesting. Thank you, Crypto KJ.
And begin IDO, initial DEX offering, for the meme token on the Ton blockchain, which to me is pretty interesting, not because of the IDO, there's a million of those, but because they're working with Ton, another big emerging ecosystem. Of course, many other months to look at into next year for the AIT roadmap. But it's not just altcoins, it's not just Bitcoin. Ethereum, ETH on sexes, is at the lowest level since 2016. Nobody has yet fully grasped how bullish this is in combination with the ETF launch happening in July. So does all this add up for the perfect setup? Bitcoin at $65,000 in 2024 has been completely de-risked. It's the average price of Bitcoin in ETF capital, meaning that's what the institutions buying into the ETFs, the price they're comfortable investing at. It's the same price it traded at 3 years earlier, only we're in a much better place, fundamentally. And presidential candidates are fighting to show they're the most pro-Bitcoin. This is the perfect setup.
Bitcoin's is going to have trouble going higher if there's only one cut.
And maybe some people are saying, well, the Federal Reserve was going to cut rates 3 times this year, now it's just 1. Maybe risk assets aren't as bullish as we thought they were. And I would remind you, the Federal Reserve is not proactive, they're reactive.
The Fed, with respect to rates, is reactive, right? They're not proactive. So they react to the economy, both positive and negatively. So when the economy's ripping and inflation's starting to turn up and growth is high, they'll start to rein back in the liquidity. They'll raise rates and try to slow down the car so it doesn't careen off the edge. So the same thing is true on cutting, is they'll wait too long. The economy will have already slowed. I mean, there are a lot of indicators that say things have slowed. I mean, Japan's in technical recession, Europe's in technical recession.
All I'm saying is rate cuts are not a perfect indicator. I think Bitcoin could go much higher before the rate cuts, just like we saw back in 2017.
We're just going to see a fall off a cliff right here. Boom, down to 2.5.
They were raising rates as Bitcoin was going up. The minute they cut, actually the economy was already in a bad place and Bitcoin had already crashed before that. Meaning the Fed is not our savior. As these stories develop, I will keep you updated.
All right, anyway, shout out to Altcoin Daily. Let's get into the recap segment of things and see what we're looking like price-wise now. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Bitcoin, $65,139 for anybody that might just be joining. Ethereum at $34.23. We have a fire sale on everything. ADA, Solana, Caspa, everything, literally. ETC, $23. Caspa's at 14 cents. ADA's at 37 cents. That's so freaking cheap. That's crazy. Solana, 136 bucks. That's even cheap. Man, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You guys voted on me to buy Caspa. I just put 200 bucks in a Caspa for today. I really do think I'm going to buy some ADA in the next couple of days if it stays around this area, because that's pretty decent buy, at least in my opinion. Looking at ADA over here. Oh, actually, Flashbang Fear and Greed Index at a 74 over here, and on Coin Market Cap, it's actually at a 55, which is strange. I feel like this should click more. Where does that go? Oh, interesting. Bitcoin dominance. Oh, nice. That's kind of a neat chart, actually. I should look into this a little bit more. Interesting. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this one. I feel like this is stuck. It should be like up here for sure, at least in my opinion. All right, let's look at ADA real quick before we get out of here. We're gonna go raid Miss Randy Hipper in just a second. I apologize for running over time, but I need to stream at a different time, 9 o'clock, because the kids got camp now. Again, ADA 37 cents, guys. We are down 88% from 3 years ago, from the last bull run. $3.09. I am not a huge holder of ADA. I just really do think that this could pop off. It could make you a decent amount of money. $1 there. We went up to, like, again, $3 or so here. And man, 2017, 2021, the bull run's coming. It's coming. The end of 2024 typically is about that time. And if we have a super cycle, it could even be crazier. So who knows? But this has been holding close to the top 10 for a long time. So you guys need to, keep that in mind. Like, this is, it's been up here for a long time. So it's a known coin, right? And they don't advertise like a lot of the other coins, right? They don't care where things go as much, or at least Charles Hodgkinson doesn't really care. Mr. Rud Puts, thank you so much for the 249 euro. He said overtime. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Yeah, Chump, pull up the ADA/BTC chart. How do I even do that? ADA BTC chart. What are you talking about? What do you mean, sir? Mr. 100 Air. What do you mean? Let me know in the chat, please. Super cycle, maybe. We'll see. Charles has been more out in the open lately. Yeah, he has his own YouTube channel too. Yeah, Hodgkinson. I always say Hodgkinson for some reason, but this guy right here, his channel is actually really good, and he talks about a lot of stuff. Obviously, to do with ADA. If you guys are interested, go check him out. But when he goes live a lot. He doesn't really do so many videos, but he does a lot of lives, and he'll actually talk for a bit. Yeah, his videos are a year ago, but yeah, he usually does live streams. So if you can catch one, listen to his rants. They're actually pretty decent, and there's a lot of development going on in the background. He's one of the founders of Ethereum, by the way, if you guys don't know. Let's see. Pull up ADA and then switch from USD to wait, hold on. Are you talking about just looking at the max chart of this and then going to BTC? Yeah, it follows BTC. So 2027, 2021. That's kind of why I'm bullish on it, I guess, right? Most of the coins do it. Is that what you're talking about? You just want to see that? 2017, 2021. I mean, this is kind of a little different. but dude, this is crazy. It's crazy where we are right now. We're making a giant flag. I wonder what's going to happen here. It's going to be nuts. Anyways, guys, listen, love you all. Appreciate you guys for bearing with me these last couple days. Unfortunately, Friday, I had to put down my dog, so that was pretty awful. And then, yeah, the kids started camp this week, so 8 a.m. streams are not going to happen. It's going to be a 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so roughly the same time we went this morning, 9:15. It's probably where I'm going to shoot for, depending. But you guys have a great, happy, and safe Tuesday. I will catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, let's go raid Miss Randy Hipper, say hello to her. If you can't stick around, at least stop by and hit the like button for her. That'd be awesome. All right, guys, have a good one. I will catch you soon. Peace.